Welcome, everybody, to Why Are You an Entrepreneur? The Trials and Triumphs. I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, or you're watching the replay, this is where I bring you rock star entrepreneurs every single Thursday to share their journey, some words of wisdom, inspiration, and some best practices out there. I know a lot of you are walking that entrepreneurial journey and it's hard. And we're here to hopefully take the hard out of this. So tonight I have Alisa Hauser of Advising, and welcome, Alisa. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, Maureen. I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the past couple of months, and I'm inspired by what you do. You've been a big part of helping me get to where I am, so it's so fun to be here today.
Well, we had a mutual connection, Judy Hoberman, who, kind of put us together, and I'm very thankful for that. People come into your life, and I'm so impressed with what you're doing because it's so cutting edge. So I start out with the conversation with why you are even an entrepreneur. What has brought you to this journey? Let's start there.
Yeah. Sheryl Sandberg talks about your career being more like a jungle gym than a ladder. And, that's kind of been my story. Like I started off, I was going to be, the next Katie Couric. I got a, undergrad in broadcast journalism, and I'm like on my way. And then life happens. And, for a really long time, I was in education because I was widowed. I wanted to be there for my children. And, that was never a career I'd even considered, but I really loved it because it helped me to raise my family. But when my kids were grown, I was like, okay, now what do I want to do with, the combination of experience and tools and gifts and the strengths that I had. And so really key for me was going back to graduate school, getting my master's degree from UT Dallas in leadership and organizational development. And through that program, I never even thought of starting my own business, never even thought of being an entrepreneur. But, I learned so much from amazing people. And that very last semester, I took a class in coaching and consulting, and I was like, let me give this a shot. Let me try. I've got a year, give it my best shot, see how it goes. And it did well. So.
Awesome. So tell everybody what you consult people on, because I think it's just so cutting edge and so appropriate today.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and it really became, even more important through COVID, because COVID was really hard on our teenagers. It was really hard on students who were going through college, trying to figure out what they wanted to be when they grew up. And, even graduate students and PhD students, it was a real tough time. And so I do advising, coaching for high school students, college and graduate students to get through the application process, through writing essays, research projects. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit like a coach, advisor slash, a fairy godmother. I'm there for them. I help them through the entire process, and I give them the support that they need to be successful. And that's, I think, more needed now than ever.
And the one thing that I love is that when I first met you, I said, well, what do you do? And you said, I speak Gen Z.
Yeah.
And I just loved that. I thought, okay, I don't know too many people who want to even speak Gen Z right now, especially if you're a parent to one of them. And so can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really passionate about bridging the different generations in the workforce. Right now, we have 5 generations in the workforce, and that's kind of like the most we've ever had. The boomers are kind of exiting, but they're exiting reluctantly because this new generation that's coming in, everybody's like, what are you guys doing? Can we trust you? It's a very tumultuous time, I think, in the workplace because of the unknown. And I've worked with Gen Z for years. I love them. They are creative, they are passionate, and they just need the right kind of motivation in order to be successful in the workforce. And I think maybe boomers and Gen X, we're like, well, we've always done it this way. This is the way that it should be done. And that's turning off this new generation. And so if we can help each other understand what we're saying, what we're talking about, what we need. And we joke around about the jargon, but it's more than that. What motivates this new generation is different than what motivated us. If we can help each other understand that, then it's going to be, a brighter future for all of us.
I love that. So tell me what you like about entrepreneurship.
Well, I just moved to North Carolina from Texas about a month ago. And the freedom and the flexibility that being an entrepreneur has allowed me, it's almost too good to be true. I really do love the flexibility of being able to make my own hours, meeting so many different kinds of people from so many walks of life. My workforce is my community. It is. And now, again, with COVID making things virtual, I have clients in the Philippines. I have clients in China, California. I just picked up a new one yesterday in Las Vegas. Like, it's really wonderful to just kind of have access and freedom for me. And so, when I'm on my move across country, driving my 26-foot truck, towing a car, and I get to the hotel right at 6 o'clock, and I've got 2 sessions in the evening, and then I go to bed and get up the next day and drive again. And that's nice to be able to have such a strong work-life balance.
So what don't you like about entrepreneurship? Like what
everything I just said. I mean, yeah, when I moved to North Carolina and I had to get health care, you're signing up. It's just, it would be really, really nice sometimes, I think, to have a steady paycheck and a health insurance. But and I also think it's been a little bit tougher to kind of break through that imposter syndrome than maybe I thought it would be. I knew it would be hard. But, like even today when I texted my daughter, okay, I'm going on in 30 minutes, she goes, don't do that weird laugh thing that you do when you're nervous. It's like, like showing up, as who I know that I am, rather than, all the just lies and struggles that we pick up along the way in a life that's jumbled and full of all kinds of stuff.
So I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and I think just even people in corporate, do experience imposter syndrome, especially at one point in their life. What would you tell somebody who's experiencing it right now? Some people don't even want to call themselves an entrepreneur. They're like, I'm not one of those. That seems super fancy, right?
Yes.
I'm a business owner or something like that. So if somebody's experiencing this, what would you recommend they do to kind of get over it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just do it. Just do it. I don't want to be too cheesy, but I've been kind of perusing through Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes. There is an element to that has to be true, though. Like, if I think maybe I might want to try for something, I just do it. I don't give myself enough time to give myself 100 reasons why not to. And even this, like when you put the little call out for being on it, it's like if I see an opportunity, I'm just going to immediately say yes to it and put myself out there and do it. And that confidence has then branched out into I'm much more comfortable even just being the first to reach out now. So like when I moved here, I reached out to a local magazine. I just, it's like the more you say yes to it, the more confident you are to be able to just continue saying yes, and then things just start rolling.
And I think it's building your confidence, and you're like, you know what? I think I really do know what I'm talking about. I really am talented. People really do want me. They really do like me. Isn't that like the Sally Field thing, right?
Yes.
And so, I think that's great advice for people. Is just what do you have to lose, right?
Right.
They said no. Big deal. Move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've done crazy things. I applied to be the graduation speaker at my graduation. I was like, sure, I'm just gonna go for it. And then surprisingly, I made the cut for the finals. It's just, you never know what's gonna happen when you just are willing to just give it a try. And I have been way more surprised at people's openness, willingness. Our networking. I think especially as women, like, we're here for each other way more than I remember even 10 years ago being here for each other. And so it's almost like that, take the leap and the net will appear, right?
Yeah, I think that women, there is a little bit more female solidarity. And I think that's part of the entrepreneurship, though. I see that more in that entrepreneurial journey because we have so much in common with it that there is a bonding, I think. So you said you have clients, really internationally. And so can you share how you're reaching out to, getting leads, what's working for you, how you're building this business?
Well, I'm, still in my first year. In August, it marks 1 year of me just like full on going for it. But right now, I work through different like Upwork kind of forums where you sort of create a little profile for yourself and you kind of meet people that way. I have a couple of those going. Social media, I'm on social media. I got myself a little Canva account and that's been so much fun. Yeah, that's another thing. When you're an entrepreneur, you're the creative person, the marketing person, the banking person, the invoice person, more to it. And then honestly, I've been really bold about just asking people for leads. Would you be willing to post this on social media for me? Would you be willing to, do you have any friends that you think might also like working with me? That word of mouth part of it has been way more like, successful in getting new leads than I even thought. So.
Do you think that people are hesitant to do that though? Because I truly believe that people see that as sales and nobody wants to be in sales. Even though we're the best.
Yeah. Maybe it's something unique about what I do. Like, I really believe that, I'm helping people. I'm making their life so much easier. And I think especially parents of high school seniors, it's really stressful walking your kid through college application process. So, if a nice, funny lady who tells silly jokes, but also really knows what she's doing can come along and kind of step into that role for you. So because I really believe that what I'm doing is making people's lives easier and making this process better for both the parents and the students, I don't feel quite so much like I'm trying to do that, but there are definitely times it feels a little awkward.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people may not even be aware at what you do and how much they do need you. Yet they sit there frustrated trying to get through that whole process. I have a niece right now who had like 7 or 8 different applications, and I'm like, why? Why? Like, just pick the top 3. Like, I don't get it. And every one of them is unique. Some require an essay, some don't.
Yeah.
So I think that people need to know out there that, so anybody out there who's watching, if you have a kid who's filling out applications, you need to reach out to Alisa.
Yeah. I think that there's sort of 2 things that I see that happens a lot. I think students think, oh, this is going to be so much easier. Like, it's going to be so easy. Why do I need help? Or they think it's going to be so hard. I don't even know where to start. I don't want to reach out for help because I'm too afraid. And both times I work with students on either side of that, they're really glad that they did. Like, oh, this is a little bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I'm glad I have the support for, I do time management trips with my students, breaking this big project down into smaller pieces. In addition to the writing and the coming up with their story and how to present that. And then kids who say, oh, it was so daunting, I just put it off for forever, are like, oh, wow, okay, this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, for the very same reason, just breaking it into pieces and having someone who's really on your side. I tell my clients, I'm your biggest fan. Like, I'm here for you. I'm your biggest fan. And I really mean it. So
So I want to go back to the Upwork thing because I think this is something that a lot of people have not investigated before. And I have to say, with all of the interviews I've had, you're the first person who has said, I'm getting leads, I'm getting business, I'm building a portfolio. So
Yeah.
can you give a little bit of background about maybe people who are just starting, who this is for? Is it for a certain business, or can it be for everybody?
Yeah. Okay. But I have to be honest though, the first lead that I got or reach out that I got or whatever was a scam. And, I'm a little bit of a, I'm a little bit of a skeptical person. I don't know if you know the Enneagram, but I'm the skeptical one. And so I really thank goodness. I was like, something about this seems sketchy. I did research on this business and they had a website and everything. And I'm like, it just doesn't seem right. There's something strange about it. And I kept looking until I found out, yeah, that it was indeed a scam. And so it really disappointed me for a little bit. But then again, you just got to get back out there and keep on trying. And you bid for things, or sometimes people will ask you for things and it feels slow. It feels like it's never going to go anywhere, but eventually it does.
So besides the scam that Upwork, who probably should screen these people a little bit more,
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile for entrepreneurs to check this out. I know website design, logos, kind of the creative stuff. People have been able to move the needle with and get business. But from a consulting perspective, are there people out there looking for that?
Yes. And, it's so interesting because people ask me wow, with AI out now, are you losing business? Are you losing clients? I mean, I'll say that I do see it's a little slower this summer than it was last summer in terms of people reaching out for college application essay stuff. But I think that is just temporary because AI, everybody thinks AI is going to do all the work for us, but it's not, because it doesn't understand you as a person. It doesn't understand your passion. It doesn't understand how to brand. There's so much more to it than just write me a bio or write me an essay. And so I think there's a little lull right now while people are trying to figure out what can it or can't it do. And then there's going to be a surge again because it's not human. It doesn't have personal connection. It doesn't have personal relationships.
And it's generic. I mean,
right.
And everybody's going to have the same thing eventually. I've spoken to educators and they're like, we know exactly when they've all used AI. They all are the same. And so I always think it's not authentic, but you have to also put the right prompts in. You have to write about 90% of it, and then it'll maybe just wordsmith it and make it more concise. But that's where you come in, right?
Because you still need a coach. Even if you're going to use AI and you're going to try to put it all together, before you hit that submit button, you still need someone that's, that has done this 100,000 times before. And, again, is your biggest fan, your cheerleader, and
cut out, Alisa. Your internet just cut out.
Okay. I'm in a new neighborhood.
You're okay. I hear you now. So,
good.
But yeah, so it's interesting. AI is going to disrupt a lot of industries, and so I guess my question for you is: you think it's slow right now? You think there'll be a surge? Are you preparing as a business owner, because you could be impacted? If you're preparing, how are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, am I allowed to say I ruminate all night long and can't sleep because I'm wondering what about this?
Well, that's a business owner. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, I have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, a beautiful worry, planning person does. But I just really feel strongly that it's going to come back. And I'm not quite ready to give in yet. So I'm still hanging in there because I do really believe that there's, in all aspects of business and entrepreneurship, and even in corporate America, this personal relationship stuff, it's gonna come back. And when it does, I will be here.
Well, human beings are social people. I mean, that's why sales is never going out.
Right.
The biggest deals are made, I hate to say it, on the golf course, but you know what I mean. People
Yeah.
who like people, who trust people, and you can't necessarily trust a robot, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. So
Yeah.
tell me what's been your greatest success so far.
Greatest success. I feel really proud of just the fact that I'm still hanging in there. I know, when I came and met you for the first time, I was really in this place of like, do I just give up on this or do I keep going? And you were really encouraging to me about hanging in there and keeping going. So to get through that season where I was really questioning if I could do it and then getting to the other side, and the fact that it's continuing to grow, even through like holidays are usually tough times for me, but this year I stayed really strong and even. That like the not giving up thing, I think for me just feels like, yay.
So you moved to North Carolina you were in Texas, and
Yep.
then so I have to ask, what precipitated this move to North
Yeah,
Carolina,
I
and what
know.
part? What part are you in?
I live in Raleigh now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it so far. I mean, it's different than what I expected because I think any big move is, but I'm enjoying it. So when my late husband moved me to Texas all those years ago, I was an East Coast girl. I grew up in the military, but I was living in Virginia at the time. And he was like, "Hey, I promise we'll only be here for a couple of years." And he had a really good job there. And he was like, we'll do a first couple of years of marriage here and then we'll move back. And obviously it never happened, but my kids always knew. And even like my friends, like they were all laughing when I'm moving. Like, we've always heard you say that you were going to do this, but like now that you're actually doing it, it still feels like a shock. It was always the plan that I was going to move back east once my kids were grown. And so last summer, I went on a little trip. I think I was talking to you about it, and I toured South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. I liked Raleigh the best. It has, my C backup plan, maybe D, is to work at a university. And so here there's NC State, UNC, Duke, and just a ton of other smaller colleges that are just amazing. And so if I have to do backup plan C or D, this is a really good spot to be in. It's one of the most educated places in America. So I chose it and I'm here and it's been great so far.
Good. I'm glad. Well, you said something really important that I think people need to pay attention to is backup plans.
Yeah.
And the reason is it's okay to have
Mm-hmm.
a backup plan. I
Yep.
mean, let's call it what it is. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't want to go for it. It's not like you've been not preparing for this, right?
Yeah.
So, but if it doesn't work out,
Right.
and it's not like you have to stop going full force.
Yeah. I'm
But
always
something
going to have a side hustle. Like that's just the kind of person that I am. I'm always going to have that. I love what I do. And I don't think I'm not going to feel like I failed. I'm actually going to be
No.
really proud of myself that I tried. And, I have a deadline. Like my deadline is next December, like, of 2024. Like if by December of 2024, I haven't reached, and I've got a number in my head, I want to reach this number by that time. And if I can hit it, then I'm going to keep going. And if I don't, then I'm going to get, a job at a university, but I'm always going to have it as a side hustle. And I'm never going to regret that I tried it.
And think about this. Being an entrepreneur is so hard. It's so complex. And you even said you got to be this, you got to be this, you got to be that. So think about the skill set you have acquired that you could bring to that backup plan,
Thank
whatever it
you.
is. And so never say this is a failure. This is such growth.
Yeah.
At a level I don't even think people realize. I have always said I think everybody should become an entrepreneur or go and work in a startup.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whether
Yeah.
it's yours or somebody else's, because the skill set that you learn that you can take to somebody else, or maybe another idea that you have, is just huge.
Yeah. And
Absolutely huge.
championing for yourself. Like, every single time I have a new client that reaches out to me and says, how much do you charge? And I have to go, okay, I'm worth this. This is what I'm worth. I bring a skill, and it's like, you don't necessarily have to do that quite as much in, a business. Sometimes you do if you're asking for a raise or whatever, but like I have to do it constantly. And I'm constantly reminding myself, I'm big and brave and strong and smart. That's what my kids and I say. But like, who I am, what I'm worth, what I can do, what my value is. And that has been very important for my personal growth as well as my professional growth. So if I do go get a job, next December, I'm going to be much more confident about that approach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so much less nervous about like, I think you and I talked about this. Like, I'm not begging for the job. You told me that. Like,
Nope.
you're not begging for this job. You're bringing them something. You're choosing them.
Right.
And those were not words I'd really thought of because, I spent so many years as being, just a teacher, which is wrong. But I believe that in my mind, just a teacher, just a mom, just a widow, that it took a lot of work for me to get to the place where it's like, shoulders up, and
I think that your backstory, having lost a spouse and having to pivot and being, thrown a different road than you expected, all those expectations, you had to pivot and
yeah,
think about how that prepares you for
yeah.
entrepreneurship more than you even realize,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about adaptability.
Yes.
It's all about being thrown these curveballs
Yeah.
and being able to say, okay, I got to make some decisions here. And
Mhm.
so I know that was a horrible experience, but maybe it was preparing you. Not
Yeah.
that that's the best way to get prepared, right? Let's call it what it is.
But we don't get to pick it. So
But we don't, but it's what we do with it.
yes, that's right. How we respond. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so don't,
accepting help. Like, when people ask me, like, oh my gosh, how did you do it? It's like, well, first of all, I don't remember a whole lot about that time because it's all just a whirlwind. But it was like you lose all sense of pride at some point. You're just like, yes, show up, help me with my kids, take them to whatever. Like, you just are sort of like, I give up, and I'm just here. I'm part of this community. I'm part of these people. And I was just like saying yes, but in a different kind of a way. But you're right. That saying yes then prepared me for the yeses that I'm saying now. Like, you really do learn that, like, it's not, what's the worst that can happen? When
right?
the worst that can happen already happened, after that, you're just like, sure, that sounds great. Let's do
Well, the truth of the matter is you can't do this alone.
it. Right.
Parents can't do what you do alone. And that's where coaches come in. And so what
Yeah.
you're saying is you needed a community when your
Yes.
husband passed. You reached out. So those were all like little coaches around you.
Yeah.
Business, it's the exact same thing. When you've got
That
to
is.
pivot, when you've got to make decisions like that, you need to give yourself grace and
Yeah.
say, I'm okay with this, but think about how far you'll go.
And when you're a parent of a senior, like, I want you to have fun with their senior year. Your kid's getting ready to go off to college. Your relationship with them is going to change. And so you don't want your last year with your kid to be stress filled. And, there's so many, like, they're arguing back and forth about when are you going to submit or did you submit? Like, I I I mean, this is my third kid. My third kid's going off to college in the fall, and I'm very acutely aware right now, this moment, like I've got 36 days because every morning she tells me how many days are left. It's like, and I'm glad that, even with my own daughter, when she was applying to college and going through what she went through, she had support that wasn't me because I wanted to be a mom.
Right.
And yes, I offered my insight. Yes, I reviewed things, but like, be a parent your kid's senior year. Enjoy it. Take them to the events and, the last homecoming and the last senior this and the last senior that. And leave the hard stuff to somebody who, isn't so personally invested in it so that you can enjoy that time.
That's great advice. So for people who want to get a hold of you and learn more about how they can partner with you and have a better senior year with their
Yeah.
senior, can you let everybody know how to reach you?
Yes, so I'm on LinkedIn. I have a social media presence, and then I've got a website that's coming soon. So still working on that.
Wonderful. So I hope you're going to come back again when you start reaching that number that you
Yeah.
have in your head. Everybody should have a number and be striving
Yep.
for it. So I'm hoping that you are going to be returning and letting everybody know the great successes you have. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. And for those of you who have tuned in, thank you so much for being here too. And if you've watched us all the way through the replay, for anybody out there who is finding converting your customers hard, well, 8 Simple Steps is all about making converting customers simple. And so let's have a conversation. You can reach out to me at 8simplesteps.net and across all these social media channels. Let's talk about your business if it's just not moving forward. All right, everybody, I am out. And I will tell you, I am taking the next 2 weeks off to have vacation at Atlantic Beach in North Carolina, Alisa.
But
And so I will be back in August with another rock star. So until then, we're out. Good night, everybody.